Most videos like this usually have 5 tips, but growing up I was always told if you want to be something, you have to be different. So this video is 4 tips, not 5. Also, I couldn't think of a 5th tip, so this is the best we have. So these 4 tips are basically tips that no one really tells you when you go into college, but they're things I really would have liked to know coming into college. So here they are. So step 1 is literally protect your lips, like actually protect your lips. You see, the first 2 weeks I was at school, I got extremely dry and chapped lips. So I did what anyone would have done, I just started drinking a lot of water. And nothing was working, my lips were still chapped, it was terrible. So of course I called my personal doctor and I said, hey mom, my lips are really chapped and I've been drinking a lot of water and I don't know what to do, nothing's working. And my personal doctor, or my mom, made a really good point. The one thing I had been doing differently in school that I usually didn't do was ride a bike. See, when you're on a bike, you're going fast and all this wind is blowing at your face and it's basically sucking all of the moisture out of your lips and they become extremely dry. So I made 2 purchases to basically protect my lips, and they were a little tube of Vaseline and a total hydration chapstick. Every night before I go to bed, I always put a little bit of Vaseline on my lips, and then before I get on my bike every day, I always put a little bit of chapstick on my lips. I don't know what it is, but this thing protects your lips way better than just normal chapstick. So the next time you're getting chapstick, make sure you get total hydration chapstick, not just normal chapstick. And ever since I started adding these 2 things to my daily routine, my lips have been perfect. And by perfect, I mean they haven't been getting chapped. I don't know if I have perfect lips. I don't know what classifies as perfect lips. They haven't been chapped, is what I'm saying. Also, you need healthy lips or else you can't kiss up to your professors. So tip number 2 is basically how to get a good seat in class. And in order to get a good seat in class, it's important to understand the schedule. So I go to UC Davis and this is basically how the schedule is laid out. All of the classes before noon start on the hour. So like 8, 9, 10, and 11. And they all end on 50, or 10 before the next hour. Then after noon, all the classes start 10 past the hour. So like 12:10, 1:10, 2:10, 3:10, on and on until like 8 or 9 o'clock or whenever it is. So once you understand your schedule, you can understand how to get a good seat. You see, I'm gonna use a 9 a.m. class as an example. If you have a class at 9 a.m., you have to think about when is the class before you getting out. And the class before you ends at 8:50. So your class starts at 9, the class before you ends at 8:50. Which means at 8:50, all of the kids in that 8 o'clock class are going to be flooding out of that classroom and your class is going to be coming in. So then you have 2 options. Do you want a good seat? Okay. Or do you not care about what seat you get? For this tip, we want a good seat. So get to your class before 8:50. You get to your class before 8:50 because all of the kids in the 8 o'clock class are going to be leaving at 8:50. So you can quickly swoop in and grab any seat you want. And if you get there after 8:50, it's not like you can't get a good seat, but it's pretty much just seat roulette at that point. And the leftovers aren't always bad, but if you get there at 8:50 and get that prime seat, you can pretty much get whatever seat you want. So this next tip is how to never lose your ID card / key. Here at UC Davis, our ID card is also our room key. And while I've only been locked out of the room once, my roommate's been locked out, well, way more than once. Was this subtle, by the way? I mean, it couldn't have been. I'm basically saying he's been locked out 8 times. Yeah, he's been locked out of the room 8 times. So my roommate made me realize that this is a real issue we need to address. Even though, I mean, you can just be more careful. They'll fix the issue. But it's a real issue we need to address. So I'm gonna tell you how to never lose it. See, there are multiple ways you can make sure you don't lose your ID card. You can either keep it in your hand, on your hand, in a fan, on a fan, in your pocket, on your pocket. Okay, how does that work? In a locket. What? I don't have a locket. On your locket. I still don't have a locket. Or if you're lame, just keep it in your wallet. Hey, I keep my ID in my wallet. Exactly. Aww. And if none of those ID tracking ways suit you, you can always try my new invention. You see, it's just a sticky note with pieces of tape on both sides and the sticky end at the bottom. The way it works is you just put this little sticky note right by the door handle, and then every time you enter the room, you put your card in, and every time you exit the room, you take your card out. And it works like a charm. You just put it there by your door handle and you'll never forget your ID card. And if the tape ever loses its stickiness, you can always just replace it, and boom, you have a brand new Gauruv card holder. And the last thing I want to talk about is that you have a crazy amount of free time when you're at college. I feel like there's this crazy notion that you have to be studying all the time or you always have to be working at college, which is completely false. There's some days where I only have 2 hours of class. Let's just say I sleep for 8 hours, you add the 8 to the 2, and that's 10 hours out of a 24-hour day. That means you have 14 hours to do whatever you want. If you manage that time properly, there's no way you won't have enough time to do all of your homework, plus pretty much anything else you want. And I know I kind of used an extreme example with just a 2-hour school day, but let's just say you have class for 6 hours. 6 hours plus 8 hours of sleep is 14 hours. That still means you have 10 hours to do whatever you want. Let's say you for some reason have to study for 7 hours. You still have 3 hours to do whatever you want. And I feel like no one ever talks about that there is so much free time in college, but you have to create that free time. Personally, I like to schedule my days out hour by hour, and I'll show it on the screen here. Every night on a post-it, I write my next day hour by hour, and every time I accomplish that hour, I make sure to cross it out with a Sharpie. That way every hour I actually see what I'm getting done on this sticky note. And as you probably saw in that sticky note, you can go back to it, I actually allocated time for a break and to make this video. So if you manage your time well, there's a crazy amount of free time in college. But that's a big if you create that free time for yourself. So yeah, those are my 4 secret tips about college. Oh, one other thing. You see, I feel like no one ever talks about this. I feel like people say this, but because I'm living in the city of bikes, Davis, I feel like I have to say this. Wear a helmet, please. And I know helmets look really goofy, like I look like an off-brand Halo character right now. And sometimes I do feel self-conscious about wearing a helmet because it just looks ridiculous. But whenever I do, I tell myself the same thing. Your brain is the reason that you're in college. Protect it. So yeah, now this video is over. Those are my 4 hidden tips about college, and I hope you found this video entertaining and slightly informative. And if you wanted more tips, I actually have 4 right here. Get it? They're pen tips.
I'm gonna send it right back your way. Baby, make your heart break. So do me right.
Oh wait, I gave that tip about the helmet, which means I gave 5 tips. And that means I'm like all the other videos. Damn.